Spared no expense might ask, if the boss actually spared no expense, then he would have covered everyone's financial situation, even if he disagreed with how the person in question got into that financial mess in the first place. And the person that fucked him over was in tech support, the vital department found behind the scenes that kept everything operating and running smoothly. So how can he say that he spared no expense? People who find themselves in financial straits will take desperate steps to solve their fiscal situation, and it has been proven that pay raises, payouts, and fiscal bonuses will improve morale and can essentially buy a person's loyalty, even if just for a limited amount of time. So yes, he did spare expenses, and this is what caused him to be bitten in the ass in the end, no pun intended. Greetings and welcome back to Checkpoint Gaming, Gaslands Legacy. With this episode, we will be going over Chapters 6 and 7. With Chapter 6, Tech Support, the players are to play the Capture the Flag scenario found in the core rulebook, with the illustration being that the flags are swapped out with technicians, with the player needing to obtain 2 technicians in order to win. In order to represent the technicians, miniatures are to be used if they are available. At the beginning of this chapter, read the following section aloud, and at the end of this chapter, read through the post-game section.
Assuming there are still staff working at this dino park, Genesis must have the sort of nerds who know how to slow this plague. Search the facility and find some tech support.
With the tech support postgame, read the following section aloud before moving on to the postgame conditions.
As you suspected, this area is not abandoned. The 2 technicians you bundled into your vehicle seem really on edge. Dr. Short is stubbornly silent, but her assistant Brock is more forthcoming. The park had been mothballed for decades until Rutherford paid Genesis to quietly spin it back up again. I really couldn't guess who first had the batshit idea to attempt to weaponize the paleoregenesis process, but it turns out to work pretty damn well. We've been building prototype Sauruses here for about 6 years, and if it wasn't for this ham-fisted nano-demolition over at the Rutherford Logistics Facility, we'd be getting our bonuses in about 4 months. This cross-contamination is going to set us back years if we can't reset it. Dr. Short speaks unexpectedly, sounding distant. The guys call them Killsauruses. I suppose it's a term of affection. Weaponized dinosaurs? You can't resist asking, these Sauruses, are they pilotable? Brock eyes you suspiciously. Sure, they are intended as crude war machines, but don't get any ideas if the human interface is still way off. Short of some kind of nanografting miracle, they are still non-operable as piloted vehicles. You realize the cold-blooded monsters you fled from earlier were built with weapons mounted on them. You had assumed it was a nanobot mutation. Listen, that Rutherford paycheck is as good as gone if we can't quarantine or cleanse a sample before this new swarm of nanobots turns them into something we can't undo. They've gone rogue, but I think we can salvage them. Will you guys help us get to the reset button?
With the post-game conditions, first, each player will gain 1 mutation. Second, the player who had the lowest total corrosion will roll 1 template improvement, with all players gaining that roll template improvement. And if there is a tie for the lowest total corrosion level, a roll-off is to occur. Third, if any of the players noted earlier within the campaign that the locals are grateful to you, then they can unlock a clue using the code DogTag, 1 word, and keep the content of that information secret for the remaining players. And fourth, each player is to calculate the new team rating. Once this chapter has been completed, proceed to Chapter 7. With Chapter 7, learning the command codes, the players are to play the automated salvage scenario found in the core rulebook, but with the addition of Snatch, Cross to Pools, the files in the computer, and File Not Found scenario rules. At the beginning of the chapter, read the following section aloud, and at the end of the chapter, read through the post-game section.
You enter the vast Genesis hangar through one of its many massive hangar doors. It is festooned with technical equipment, snaked with power cables, and dotted with forklifts. This is the heart of the Killsaurus program. As you zoom down the central thoroughfare, you start to notice the regular organization of tall bays and electrified pens that betray its purpose. There is a shocking amount of blood and gore, and the distant roars confirm your suspicions. This facility is overrun by angry mutated dinosaurs. Dr. Short says the shutdown override codes are stored in the databanks in the central computer hub at the heart of this giant facility. We need to find them fast and then get to the radio towers to broadcast the codes.
With the Snatch scenario rule, change the automated salvage scenario round circle rule so that it reads, once per step, if a vehicle sustains damage from an enemy vehicle, then the controller of the damaged vehicle will have to place 1 salvage counter touching any point on the vehicle's side edge. If a vehicle's movement template or final position overlap the salvage counter, then that vehicle gains 1 salvage point and the salvage counter is removed from the play area. The scenario's endgame condition is also to be changed so that it reads, the game will end when 1. There's only 1 player possessing a vehicle in play at the end of any given round, or 2. 3 rounds have elapsed, whichever comes first. With the Corrosive Pools scenario rule, when setting up the table for this given chapter, the players will take turns placing corrosive pools upon the play area. This placement process will continue until there are 3 corrosive pools found upon the play area. With these corrosive pools, it should be represented by an item that represents a gloopy or swampy piece of scenery at roughly medium length across. They also count as treacherous terrain. The first time during the chapter that each of the vehicle's movement templates or final position overlaps any corrosive pools, the vehicles will be noted as got goo on it. With the files are in the computer scenario rule, first read the following section aloud.
As you barrel into the Genesys computer hub, tires squealing on the slick floors, you are presented with a jungle of crates, computers, databanks, and generators. You know roughly what you're looking for, but it's a needle in a haystack.
From there, a single command codes token is to be set aside at the start of the game, with bonus points being given if a tiny computer miniature is used as a token. If the command codes token is currently set aside, then whenever a vehicle gains a salvage point, then its controller will roll a die. With this die roll, add the team's current total salvage points. If the result is equal to that of 6 or higher, then the command codes token is to be placed upon that vehicle's dashboard. If a vehicle uses the magnetic scavenger hook special rule while it is in short range of the vehicle that is in position of the command codes token, then the vehicle that used the magnetic scavenger hook will take command codes token from said vehicle. With the vehicle that is carrying the command codes token, if it places one salvage counter through the use of the ramshackle special rule or it wrecks, then its controller will have to remove the command codes token from that vehicle and set it to the side. With the files not found scenario rule, the player who has the highest total corrosion can unlock a clue using the code 404 and keep the content of this information secret for the remaining players. And if there is a tie for the highest total corrosion, a roll-off is to occur. With looting command codes post-game, it consists of the following components. First, if a player is in possession of the command store token at the end of the game, they will have to know that they possess the command codes. Second, if a vehicle is noted as got goo on it, then mark one corrosion on it followed by removing that note. Third, each vehicle will gain 2 mutations. Fourth, the player who has lowest total corrosion will roll 2 template improvements, with all players gaining the lowest template improvements. And if there is a tie, the lowest total corrosion level, a roll-off is to occur. And fifth, each player is to calculate their new team rating. Once each chapter has been completed, proceed to chapter 8. So with that said, that is what you need to know about chapters 6 and 7. With that taken care of, we can start talking about chapters 8 and 9. If you like this episode, feel free to give it a like, and if you want to stay up to date on any future episodes we upload, go ahead and subscribe. You can also support us on Patreon for as little as $1 a month at patreon.com/checkpointgaming. See you next episode, and happy gaming.